have the unique honor today of introducing today's keynote speaker, Cheryl Ecton. Cheryl is the CEO of Elite Building Services, and she knows the dirt behind success. She has built a nationally recognized commercial cleaning and building maintenance services company that employs more than 600 people in a male-dominated industry. She has overcome a multitude of personal struggles, divorce, single motherhood, and a child's health crisis to achieve professional success. And it all started with a single employee, herself. Today, Elite Building Services serves clients in more than 15 states and is one of the largest women-owned businesses in the Mid-Atlantic region. Cheryl has built her successful business by valuing her employees as much as her clients. The success Cheryl found in her professional life did not always translate to an easy personal life. Despite these obstacles, Cheryl continued to focus on the growth and the success of Elite Building Services. Elite has been recognized with multiple safety and excellence awards, as well as multiple top vendor awards. Cheryl has been featured on Fox Business Network, Philadelphia Business Journal, Executive Leadership Radio, Smart CEO Future 50, South Jersey Chamber of Commerce, and Delaware Today's Women in Business. Last year, Cheryl was chosen to be featured on Rob Lowe's Success Files, which is going to be aired nationally. Cheryl shares her journey with industry professionals, leadership groups, and women's associations to empower and inspire them to keep working hard even when life gets in the way. Her warmth, authenticity, and passion touch the hearts of those she meets. Please join me in welcoming Cheryl.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank Monica for inviting me to speak today. And when Monica called me back a few months ago, probably about 6 months ago, she said, I'd like for you to come speak at our Women in Business event. I asked her what she wanted me to speak on and what message she'd like me to get out. And she said, I'd really just want you to share your story. So I want you to get really comfortable because she told me to share my life story with you today. But we're going to get a little personal. I'm going to get a little personal. You don't have to get personal. I'm going to shed a little dirt behind the scenes. So I started out at the age, I actually got married right out of high school. Had to get the first job I could get, and I got it as a receptionist for 2 financial investors. They happened to own the building that we were in, and I became their receptionist. My job every day was to answer phones and open the mail and file and to do light clerical work. They owned the building that they were in, so we were on the top floor and they had multiple tenants on the floors. As I answered the phones every day, I realized there are 2 things that everyone complains about. One is the temperature of the building, and the second thing is the cleaning services. So as I started taking the calls during the day, I noticed a lot of complaints. Some days they wouldn't show, they would miss trash, just various different things. And I also had to open the mail every day. So I received their invoice and I saw what they were paying them and I said, wow. And I thought, I had a little idea in my head. And so I went to the 2 owners of the company and I said, you pay me what you pay them and you'll never have any complaints. And plus I answered the phone, so I was pretty sure that they wouldn't hear any of the complaints either. So I thought, how hard can this be? It's to clean a building every night, right? Well, these 4 words, I told them, I said, I can do this. And these are the 4 words that changed the course of my life and the direction of my life. Every night at 5 o'clock, I would change my clothes. I'd get out of my work clothes and I would get into a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. And I would start cleaning the whole building. And I had no idea what I was getting into. I thought, this is a simple thing, I would clean, but I was exhausted. I would finish at 10 to 11 o'clock every single night. I did this 5 nights a week. I did this up until the time my first child was born, Ryan. And during that time, I took a very short maternity leave. My husband covered for me during that time, and he very quickly told me this was not what he wanted to do in life. And if I was going to do this, that I would have to continue doing this on my own. As time went along, I started to get some more clients, and I realized, if I'm really going to make a business of this, I need to quit my full-time job and focus on this during the day and build it. So that's what I would do. I would focus on building and doing the sales and the payroll and ordering the supplies and everything. And then I would go back out at night and work after I bathed my son and fed him and put him back to bed. And I did this constantly. And it's given me a lot of respect for the people who work for me and understanding how hard these people work. They work all day long, and then they go work at night and clean. And it's not easy cleaning. And so this is what I did on a daily basis. I remember one particular night, I got a call from one of my supervisors, and she said to me, "Cheryl, nobody's here tonight. Everybody called out." And it was a job that took about 3 to 4 people. And I said, "Okay, you can't do this by yourself. I'll be right there." So I got to the job site, and we finished up probably at about 2 o'clock in the morning. We were dragging out about 14 bags of trash, and we get to the dumpster, and the side door of the dumpster won't open. And I'm pretty sure just that night the side door wasn't going to open, but nevertheless, we could not leave this trash sitting down by the dumpster. So we had to heave it over our heads and throw it over the top of the dumpster. As we were doing so, one of the bags opened up midair. It wasn't the office trash, it was the kitchen trash. And we had trash raining down on our head, people's lunches, beverages, coffee grounds, whatever, it was on our head. And do you ever have those moments where you go, wow, I'm going to either laugh or cry about this? And my first thought was, I really want to cry about this because this is, this sucks. But I looked over at her, and she had coffee grounds in her teeth. And apparently she had her mouth open, and I just looked at her and I thought, how do you cry about this? This is funny. So we began to laugh, and I will tell you at that moment in time, I started evaluating my choice for my career. And I thought to myself, what have I done here? I never envisioned my life ordering toilet paper and emptying trash and cleaning bathrooms. And I thought, wow, this isn't what I set out to be in life. But I remember thinking, I really like this. I really like what I'm doing. I saw a difference that I was making in the buildings, and I vowed not to give up. At age 26, I became pregnant with my second child, Erica. I knew right away there were problems. I think everybody knows their children, and they know when something's wrong. I already had a son. I wasn't a new mother, but I knew something wasn't right. And within the first month, the doctors knew something wasn't right. We started seeing specialist after specialist. We were seeing an endocrinologist, a geneticist, an ophthalmologist, a neurologist. I mean, we were just making our rounds at AI DuPont. And they couldn't figure out what it was. They felt like, she's got this issue here. This is a problem. There's a problem here. We've got this. And it's got to be part of a larger puzzle. It's got to be something bigger. The fact was, it was just a bunch of different problems, but there was a main problem that they just didn't pick up. They had suggested that we go to a pulmonologist, and as we went to the pulmonologist, they said, let's do a barium swallow. She had had pneumonia probably 4 times within the course of the first year. And they said, we want to make sure she's not refluxing, and she's, because if that's the issue, we need to take care of that. So as we were doing the x-ray, she's very petite. My daughter's only right now about 5 feet, but at the time she's very tiny. And they kept saying, she's failing to thrive. She was falling off the charts. But when we did that barium swallow, her hips got into the x-ray, and they noticed she had bilateral hip dysplasia. And we're at about 1.5 years now. And if you know how babies are mostly cartilage when they're born, bone forms against bone, and when things aren't together right from the start, it's very difficult to try to recreate it. But you have to try to recreate what wasn't right from the beginning. So they set out on a series of multiple surgeries. It was called a bilateral varum derotational osteotomy. It was the first one that we did. After that, we had multiple body casts and physical therapy and additional surgeries that followed. Aside from that, we were dealing with a lot of her other medical issues, but that being first and foremost as to why she wasn't thriving in life. Things you know, Erica's 25 years old now. She's had 21 surgeries throughout her life. This affects the entire family. You almost need an entire family to help you when you're going through this. And we were fortunate to have a good support system. We were fortunate to be at AI DuPont Hospital, which is in our backyard here. We were very lucky, but it takes a toll on you. And I have another child to take care of. I have a husband. I have a home I'm trying to take care of. And I'm trying to run a business. I needed to work as well. So I was juggling two kids. I was, one with medical issues, one in school. I was trying to run a household. We always try to balance, I think, as women, so much on our shoulders. And I don't know if you ever feel like this, but I feel like this all the time. I felt like this all the time. How do you do it all? The question that we ask ourselves all the time. We try to balance everything we can, never sitting down, pushing forward because we want to give our families everything we can. I've learned that we can do anything we want. We can't always be great at everything. And I've also learned that sometimes good is good enough. And sometimes we need to let ourselves off the hook a little bit more. We want to have the perfect everything, and I think that's just normal. I think women are, we want to do it all, we want to have it all. And sometimes we just need to give ourselves a little bit of a break. But one of my more personal struggles came after 23 years of marriage. I was facing a divorce. Anyone who's gone through a divorce can attest that it's probably one of the toughest things to go through, other than the death of a child, and I don't even have words for that. But spending so much time at AI DuPont, it does kind of put it back into perspective a little bit, because you see the children that aren't going home, and you realize some parents won't be taking their children home. So you learn to be grateful for what you're dealing with. And I really did learn to be grateful that, I wasn't happy that my daughter had these problems, but I also knew we had a fix for everything. We were going to fix it, and we were going to take her home. But in the divorce, I didn't really know what was going to happen. And I just stood there, and in my mind I thought, Cheryl, you better show them how tough you are right now. Now it's time to be tough. I passed out cold. I hit the floor. In my mind I was saying, Cheryl, you show them how tough you are. My body was saying, oh no, we're out. We're not doing this. So when I came to, I kind of blamed it on a low blood sugar level, thought that sounded good. Pulled myself together, and I thought, okay, I got to get to work. Mornings were really tough because I just never knew what was going to happen during the course of the day, what kind of letter I was going to get from my attorney, what I was going to be presented with. So I got myself together, and I started heading to work, and I'm thinking my day is going to get a little bit better. It can't get any worse than this, right? Have you ever said that? Don't ever say that. I thought my day was going to get any better, but I guess you can see maybe where it's going here. I went to the gas station. And I pulled into the Wawa. I live in New Jersey. They pump your gas for you. It's a great thing. After a couple minutes of getting gas, I took off. I wasn't done getting gas yet. I just temporarily lost my mind, and I took off. And I hear this commotion going on behind me, and I look in my rearview mirror, and I see guys yelling and running and screaming, and their hands are waving, and I thought, what is wrong with these guys? And then I realized, I look in the side view mirror, after they're chasing me for a while, and I said, oh no, as I saw the gas pump hanging out of my car. And I thought, oh my goodness. So I backed it up, and I'm so embarrassed, and I said to them, well, I pulled out my license and registration like the Wawa guy was going to give me a ticket, but that's what I did. I gave him my license and registration. He said, ma'am, we didn't finish filling up your gas pump, or your gas. I said, I'm pretty aware of that right now. And he said, but you only got $5 worth. And I said, I'll find somewhere to get to with $5 worth of gas. That's okay. I just wanted to leave. I was so embarrassed. And he said, no, ma'am, please pull up to this next pump. You've already ripped this one out. So pull up here and let us finish filling up your tank. So I did, and I was kind of in shock because I was surprised they weren't asking me to leave. And I said, well, I'm really surprised that you still want me here and that you don't want me to leave. And he said, well, it looks like you're just having a really bad day. And I said, you have no idea. I'd like to tell you this happened once, but I did this twice. So you should see how scared they are now when I turn into this Wawa, and I still go to the same Wawa, you know. So they look a little afraid, and I always think they're I know I'm a little paranoid, but you know those headsets they wear, you know, I think that they're wearing them because of me, and when I pull in, I feel like they're going, here she comes. Everybody look alive. Places, everyone. You know, that's what I think. I think that they know and I'm coming. Wawa's a big client of mine. I service them from Delaware all the way down to Florida. And but they don't know that I'm that girl. So don't tell them. I hope nobody's here from Wawa. So it's just a funny example of what stress can actually do to you. If you don't think this brought me to my knees, though, this absolutely brought me to my knees. I remember one morning, and like I said, mornings were especially tough because I never knew what was going to hit during the day. I remember sitting there, $92,000 worth of legal bills at this point, fighting my divorce. My company, he did not have a legal interest in my company, but he did have an equitable interest via the marriage. It was a marital asset, therefore he was entitled to half. I had to give him half the value of my company. I had to give him half the value of my home, which was fair. It was our joint residence. Had to give him half the contents of the house, and I was facing permanent alimony, me paying permanent alimony. This was monumental to me. As I sat on the floor and I thought to myself, I don't think I can do this. I'm not sure I can make it. I sat there for a while having a little meltdown. And it's okay to have a meltdown every once in a while. That's all right. Got to cry it out. But I'll tell you what, as I sat there, I thought, I don't really have any choice. I have to get back up. And I said to myself, sure, you got to get up. You've got a son in college. You've got a daughter that still has medical problems that needs to be addressed. And, you know, you have people that are depending on you, depending on the survival of this company. But I didn't know financially if I was going to be able to make it. I remember one day I said, you know what? It's game on. That morning, I realized at that moment that no one controls my happiness, my goals, but me. The only person that can stop me from achieving them are me and me alone. I remember saying to my mother, and this is the second time my mother has gotten a chance to hear me speak. She and my sister are here today. Mom, wave. And I said to my mom one day, I said, you know what, I'm no longer going to let him control me, control my happiness, control my destination. And she said, I'm finally glad to hear you say that. My journey's been more like a lattice. It's not been like a ladder to the top. I've had to go to the side. I've had to take care of a sick child, a divorce, almost financial ruin, and just even surviving my divorce. Sometimes you have to take a step down or to the side to be able to regain your footing in order to move forward. I've learned that. Somebody mentioned to me it's kind of like rock climbing. I said, yeah, it's more like rock climbing. Maybe you're in one of these three places at this point in time. I don't know if you're about to face some adversity in your life. I don't know if you're in the middle of it. Maybe you've just come out of some adversity. But I realized at that point I had to do some things very differently. And I had to eliminate some things. And one of them was negative thinking. I had to eliminate security and doubt. You know, when somebody tells you they're going to destroy you, it shakes your foundation. It shakes your confidence at that point. And the guilt of not being able to make everybody happy and to be everything for everybody. Unhealthy habits. I found that putting your head in the sand is not going to solve the problem. You know, and toxic people. I had to get rid of toxic people in my life. And I think you find out who your true friends are when you're going through life's crisis. Negative thinking, insecurity, doubt, they all go together. Don't need toxic people to confirm those for you. And I had to accept a few things. You know, fear is normal, but you can't be paralyzed by fear. You can't be controlled by fear. Setbacks are going to come, family, illnesses, financial. Failure is inevitable. But failure sometimes leads to the greatest lessons that you learn. When I'm told no, I don't hear no, I hear not yet. In order to succeed, your desire for success has got to be greater than your fear of failure. And you have to be courageous. Courage to get up and fight for your dreams and goals. I've left a little gift at your table. And it's just to remind you when you need to get up that you've got the courage to do so. I believe the women that are going to be recognized shortly had a lot of courage to do what they've done and achieve what they've done. And you've got to be flexible, to adapt, to change, to adjust. Be authentic, be yourself. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing. The minute you start comparing yourself to others, you take the focus off of yourself and what you want to achieve. And be vulnerable. And this is a tough one because when you're vulnerable, you set yourself up for rejection or hurt. Some of the greatest leaders are very vulnerable. But it can also lead to it is also the gateway to some of the greatest relationships you can have out there. And you need to believe that you're in control. Once I determined that he no longer controlled me, I realized I was in control, that you're courageous and that you're unstoppable and that you can do it. Wayne Dyer said, "As you think, so shall you believe." And then you need to surround yourself with positive and supportive people, whether it's personally or professionally. Mentors, business colleagues, people who can listen to you, but also can teach you and you can learn from them. Maybe activities that are positive activities that help you with getting you into a good, healthy mental state. These were all things that I had to do personally for myself. If I had allowed one single person or circumstance to dictate or destroy me, Elite would not be where it is today. We employ over 600 people. We serve 12 different industries in 15 different states, and we're growing. A number of years ago, we partnered with a healthcare client to provide a Women's Day for our women that worked for me. We provide mammograms and screenings, nutritional information for them. We had over 70 women show up that day. 2 of them found out they had cancer, but it was caught early enough that they made a full recovery. This past year, I was asked to be the corporate walk chair for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. When I first met with them, I said, let me just make sure I have the time. I didn't want to shortchange them. After I met with Heather and Brooke and learned about the organization, I decided to accept the responsibility. The very next day, I found out my aunt had leukemia. I don't think anything happens by chance. I think there's reasons behind everything. LLS picked up the cost of my aunt's medication for an entire year at $6,000 a month. I felt good about that. You know you're doing the right thing when you're making a positive impact on someone's life. Those 2 women, my aunt, they may not have had a positive outcome if I'd have stayed on that floor. I'd like to close with a story that touched me, and some of you may have already heard this before, but the story goes like this. It's called The Story of the Egg and the Carrot and the Coffee. A young woman went to her mother and told her about life and how hard things were for her. She didn't know how she was going to make it, and she wanted to give up. She was tired of fighting and tired of struggling. It seemed as one problem was solved, a new one arose. Her mother took her to the kitchen. She filled 3 pots of water. In the first one, she placed the carrots. In the second one, she placed the eggs. And in the last one, she placed the coffee beans. She let them sit and boil without saying a word. In about 20 minutes, she turned off the burner. She fished the carrots out and placed them in a bowl. She pulled the eggs out, placed them in a bowl, and she ladled the coffee into a bowl. Turning to her daughter, she said, "Tell me what you see." She said, "Carrots, eggs, and coffee." She brought it closer to her and she said, "Feel these carrots." She did, and she noted they were soft. She then asked her to take an egg and break it. After pulling off the shelf, she observed the hard-boiled egg. Finally, she asked to sip the coffee. The daughter smiled as she tasted the rich aroma. The daughter asked then, "What's the point, Mom?" Her mother explained that each of these objects have faced the same adversity, boiling water, but each of them reacted differently. The carrot went in strong and unrelenting. However, after being subjected to boiling water, it softened and became weak. The egg had been fragile. Its thin outer shell had protected its liquid interior, but after being through the boiling water, its inside became hardened. The ground coffee beans were unique, however. After they were in the boiling water, they changed the water. Think of this. Which am I? Am I the carrot that seems strong, but with pain and adversity do I wilt and become soft and lose my strength? Am I the egg that starts with a malleable heart but changes with the heat? Did I have a fluid spirit, but after a death, a breakup, a financial hardship, or some other trial, have I become hardened and stiff? Does my shell look the same, but on the inside am I bitter with a tough and stiff spirit and a hardened heart? Or am I like the coffee bean? The bean actually changes the hot water, the very circumstance that brings pain. When the water gets hot, it releases a fragrance and a flavor. If you're like the bean, when things get at their worst, you become better and you change the situation around you. When the hours are the darkest and the trials are at their greatest, do you elevate to another level? How do you handle adversity? Are you the carrot, an egg, or the coffee bean? My hope for you today is to continue to grow and develop for the better. The future is truly in your hands. Did he destroy me? Not at all. As the saying goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And sometimes I want to kill people when they tell me that, because that's not what you want to hear sometimes. But there's a lot of truth in that saying. You do become stronger and more resilient. Life is going to continue to throw you these curveballs and challenges your way. So here's the thing. Eventually, none of us get out of this life alive. We don't know where we're going to end up, and we certainly don't know when it's going to end. The challenge for you today is to get up when life gets you down. Let no one control your happiness or your destiny. This is your journey. This is your race. This is no one else's. Be passionate about your dreams and goals. Always continue to strive for what you want in life. When you fail, which we all will at times, fail fast and have the courage to get back up. Thank you.